Thanks for coming. In the next few minutes, I will present the report back on the Americas breakout session. In this session, we have a 2.5 hour session, including three main sections. The first one, we have the regulatory situation of animal biotechnology in 4 countries, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and United States. And the speakers we had for this session were Paulina Boari from Argentina, Maria Dagli from Brazil, Jenny Pinilla from Colombia, and Adam Moyer from US. Then we have another section about South-South cooperation in biotechnology. Facundo Simeone was presenting that information. He will be essentially presenting the same information that he was offering yesterday. And the third section was a discussion panel to analyze hypothetical scenarios. And this section was oriented, the cases were presented by Daniel Kovic, and we had an additional speaker that was Andres Maggi from Argentina. Okay, I'm going to present a very general view of what we had in the first section here about the regulatory situation of animal biotechnology. The speakers presented what is the current regulation, and you see here, for example, regulation for genome for LMOs and regulation for genome-edited products. We have in the case of Argentina, regulation for LMOs since the year 1991, and an update regulation and a regulation that is covering new breeding techniques essentially in year 2021. The national authority is the Secretary of Agriculture, and the commission in charge of all the analysis and the assessments is CONAVIA, created in 1991. You see the same for Brazil. They have a law, the law 11,105, created in 2005, that deals with LMOs. However, there is a resolution, the RN16, for genome-edited products created in 2018. The national authority, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the technical commission, the National Commission of Biosafety, the CTM Bio, created in 2005. Colombia, they have a decree dealing with the LMOs, and recently, in 2022, a resolution, the resolution number 22,991, that is dealing with genome-edited products, both animals and plants. And they have, as a national authority, the Instituto Colombiano Agropecuario, ICA, not IICA, it's ICA, and the Biosafety Commission that is was established in 2005. They have different commissions, but that is, in general term, the institutional structure they were presenting. In the case of US, I didn't get the core regulation they have, but we know that the national authority is the FDA, EPA, and USDA, depending of the purpose of the organism. Regarding, and for me, this is a very important part, because we identify that each country has its own regulation and its own process, internal process, aligned with the national legislation. But there are something that is common in all cases, and are the criteria. And I would like to mention that for all the countries, the analysis and the decisions are taken case by case. They are science-based, they are based in good data quality, and they have this comparative analysis in order to have the genetic modified organism in front of a conventional one. Another point that is common for all of them is that the risk assessment essentially is based in technical, robust, and transparent evaluation. And that is common for all of them. There are some differences or specificities in terms of regulation, and if it's applied just for plants, microorganisms, animals, etc. But there are some common points. Regarding United States, a part of these common criteria, they had something called the intentional genomic alterations. That is the generic name under which all the modifications have been treated. For FDA approval, the developers of IGAs in animal must demonstrate safety to the animal, to the consumers, and the effectiveness of the modification. And again, all the details related to the risk-based review are already available in a guidance for industry number 187A. And just to mention in general that they have these three categories of products, 1, 2, and 3, in which depending of the modification, there is no review of data prior to marketing, or there is prior risk review for potential ED, and the 3 category is the approval application. And Adam was presenting some of the details about how the categories were working. And regarding the examples of approved animals, and here in this column you see some examples of genetic modified animals and the genome edited animals. In the case of Argentina, they show us that in the last years, they have some approvals for bovines and Spodoptera. They have a case in Spodoptera. And just to have an interesting data, usually they take around 180 working days in order to have the decision, since the moment the applicant presents the application to the final decision. And there are some days, if they need some additional information, they stop the process, they will ask the applicant will respond, but that time is not taken into consideration. Regarding the new breeding techniques, and here is another point, in each regulation, they are calling the products resulted from genome editing with different names. In the case of Argentina, they are calling new breeding techniques, therefore products derived from new breeding techniques. Regarding animals, they have approved or deregulated, if we want, 4 bovines, 7 pigs, and 2 horses. And the decision for the analysis is taking around 80 working days. In the case of Brazil, they have genetic modified animals. They have mice, mosquitoes, and actually Maria Lucia Dagli presented us information about how the different eras of mosquitoes they are using. Essentially, they have 2 commercially available mosquitoes. It's possible to buy these mosquitoes right now through internet, and they will send you a box to your house, and you can use it for controlling the mosquito population. They have received some applications for Spodoptera, and they have the Aquadvantage salmon, all of them genetic modified. Regarding genome edited products, that is to say non-GM products, they have the Aquabounty tilapia, the Nelor cattle sperm, that essentially is modified for muscle gain, is the animal from Axeligen. They have this sleek Holstein bovine, and they have the hornless bull sperm that was analyzed, authorized, but now is cancer. In the case of Colombia, they don't have genetic modified animals. And in terms of genome edited animals, they have the pig that is resistant to the respiratory syndrome. In the case of USDA, the FDA CVM is for Center for Veterinary Medicine approvals. They have genetic modified animals like the Aquadvantage salmon approved for food, the SBC lal chicken for biopharmaceutical purposes, and a rabbit for food, and the GalSafe pig for food and for biopharm purposes. That is in general what we had in this presentation. Then after this overview, we had this South-South cooperation. Facundo is going too deep on that, but he was mentioning essentially what is happening at level of regional regulation meetings. He was talking about the Mercosur meetings and the Consejo Agropecuario del Sur meeting. He was presenting as an example the biosafety agreement between Argentina and Brazil, and then how it was expanded to Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and he was presenting some specific details of the South-South cooperation with Asia and Africa. Then we had the discussion panel in which we presented two scenarios, or Daniel presented two scenarios. One in which a genome-edited swing, essentially a simple knockout that prevents infection with FMD, was generated, and he presented some questions in order to be responded for each expert. The second case was the genome-edited cattle. Essentially, is a template-driven edited incorporating Angus Paul allele into Jersey dairy cattle, and again, some of the questions. I'm not going to enter in the details, but I just want to present as conclusions that after this general presentation of the overview for each country, to know the South-South cooperation information and the responses presented in the panel, we can say that there is no best approach regarding regulation. There are different countries and they have different effective and functional regulatory approaches for both GM and genome-edited animals. And that was demonstrated with the examples that they offered in their presentations and with the responses in the discussion panel. Regulations in animal biotech in all the countries are seeking to protect public health and safety, to allow production and marketing of safe products, and to instill trust in the food supply. That is, like, in general, what animal biotech regulation is seeking in these countries. Again, there are general criteria for all these countries, and they are case by case, science-based, based on good data quality and comparative analysis. As well, the risk assessment, technical, robust, and transparent. And there are different regulatory triggers. For LMOs, product versus process, but for genome-edited products, they are focusing more on the product. This genome editing analysis allow us to say that most jurisdictions with the genome editing regulation are resulting in a differentiated picture. All or most SDN1 and SDN2 are not covered by the regulatory definitions, and almost all or most SDN3 type are covered by regulatory definitions. And these differentiated pictures allow to take conclusions that have been reflected in various ways. Clarification plus an additional rule to submit organisms developed with the new breeding techniques to verify whether those organisms fall under definitions, and that is the case of Brazil and Argentina. That is another way, that is a change of rules. For example, accepting certain categories of genome-edited organisms, such as United States, or adjusting the definitions. For example, aligning the definitions with Cartagena Biosafety Protocol and introducing the novel genetic combination definition, that is the case of Colombia. Something that is quite clear from this discussion and this session is that there is no need for creating a new category of product. Up to now, we have LMO and non-LMO, that is to say, conventional products, and with these two categories is enough. And essentially, what that was, I wanted to mention as summary of this America's breakout session that was very enthusiastic and offered very nice information. Thank you very much for your attention.